First name on my list looks like Eric Lehman. Lehmann.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Lehman. I reside at 141 Windsor Circle Southwest in Ocean Isle Beach. As the October 23rd Carolina Bays Extension public hearing demonstrated, residents of Brunswick and Horry counties are opposed to the proposed alternatives for the new freeway through our area. Opposition points to the loss of businesses, homes of worship, cemeteries, and healthcare providers. What about the costs to the area during construction and after completion? So this is my handout, and I'll be referring to it a couple of times during this discussion. Based on the existing businesses, homes, churches, cemeteries, and medical facilities along the proposed US 17 destruction, the losses will be at least an annual reduction in tax revenues of $700,000. And that's itemized here on the cover page. Sad news is today we were working to update the tax records because our records are 4 years old. So that number is low. And what this means is we will experience a reduction in public services for all residents and visitors on into the future. That's not a one-time loss, that's an annual loss. So we lose for years into the future. During the October 23rd hearing, NCDOT emphasized safety as their #1 priority throughout the proposed project. Converting the existing US Highway 17 into an interstate will be anything but safe during the construction process. So if you'd like to open up to the center page, you'll see the scope of the project. To do this, US 17 will have to be either reduced to 1 lane each way, probably with these lanes right next to one another, or closed entirely with traffic being diverted to other roads like Old Georgetown Road or Beach Drive, as you see to the south in the diagram, as these are the only available existing options. Just imagine how unsafe these roads will become with one-way each way traffic on either US 17 or pushed over onto these secondary roads like Old Georgetown or Beach Drive. Both of these options are terribly unsafe. But there is good news. There are better options that do the following. First, they provide a new inland freeway parallel to US 17 to supplement traffic flow like they did in South Carolina. Construction destruction will be reduced and or eliminated. And it'll also save that tax revenue loss. Construction traffic can continue to flow on US 17, so there's no interruption for residents or tourists. And these options provide better results and safety. So how do we do this? First, we must expand the study area to provide best options for traffic flow and safety. We also need to update the community impact study that is based on data and maps that are over 6 years old. They grossly underestimate the negative impacts to our community. So NCDOT is committed to the selected alternatives, but we have options. Along with support from local townships, and a couple of these made presentations at the October 23rd meeting, and North Carolina State Rep Frank Eiler, who is working with us, and hopefully the Brunswick County Commissioners, we can all work together to bring these changes to a reality. We ask the Brunswick County Commissioners to join with these other groups to pass a resolution to oppose the existing alternatives, support the expansion of the study area, and these inland options that reduce destruction and danger while providing a new freeway that enhances the flow of traffic across our area, while also bringing new investment and tax revenues for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lehman. Carla White.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Carla White. I live at 2177 Stone Chimney Road. I'm speaking today as a mother and a resident of Brunswick County who is deeply concerned about the health and safety of our families, especially our children. PFAS, a forever chemical. Forever chemicals are linked to cancer, harm to children and infants, harm to pregnant mothers, damage to livers and kidneys, and other serious health effects. These forever chemicals don't belong in our drinking water. In 2024, the Environmental Protection Agency finalized long-awaited drinking water standards for 6 PFAS chemicals that endangered human health. These critical standards limit how much toxic PFAS can be in our drinking water and will keep our families safe. But now the EPA plans to rescind drinking water standards for 4 harmful PFAS chemicals, including Gen X. And to delay implementation of standards for PFOA and PFOS, communities in North Carolina and across the country have waited decades for safeguards against toxic forever chemicals and cannot afford to have them stripped away or stalled. Although Brunswick County is likely to receive treatment upgrades to address PFAS, the EPA's repeal of PFAS drinking water standards may impact how much of the cost of cleaning up these chemicals falls on polluters like Chemours, rather than on community members. I understand that's why Chemours is involved in challenging the drinking water standards, because the chemical manufacturer is concerned about its own liability if these standards stay in place. These standards are critical for families in Brunswick County who have been harmed by PFAS pollution for decades, including my own. And for communities across North Carolina and the entire country, repealing them would be a dangerous step backwards for public health. I urge this commission to stand with the people of Brunswick County and speak out against these rollbacks. Specifically, I ask you to join us in calling on congressional delegation to urge the EPA to uphold and swiftly implement the existing PFAS drinking water standards. Commissioners, I am going to speak on October the 17th about my daughter's condition. My water in here in Brunswick County in the supply area was 285 nanograms per deciliter with these chemicals in it. And these chemicals have been, they cause neurological issues in children. They affect babies before they're even born. And this is a big concern for me. So next week when I speak, I'm going to bring some articles that my daughter and I have been mentioned in. I'm going to hand them to you and let you look over them with my phone number. And I hope that you reach out, because this is something that I want to have, I want to go far and beyond Brunswick County with this issue. I think that our children matter. And I think that sometimes we worry about our children and education, but what if we are ruining their little brains? Thank you.
Thank you. My chair is sinking. Every meeting.
Oh, you want this one?
No, it
Because
just-
I have to sit low, because
As I'm sitting here.
I'm short, so.
Welcome, Commissioner Thompson. Okay, we move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Cook, Williams. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Yeah, Madam Clerk? What were those 2 names for this proclamation?
For the hospice,
The hospice?
Sabrina and Star.
Sabrina and Star, come on up.
Bless you, sir.
God bless you, whoever that was. Yeah, I suppose. I'll read this from here, and then you come up and I will present it. So if you'd like to come up to the podium. All right. Proclamation of National Hospice and Palliative Care Month for 2025. Whereas Lower Cape Fear Life Care was rated as 5 stars by families and caregivers in the most recent Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services hospice survey results, the highest rating possible. And whereas Lower Cape Fear Life Care ranks among the top 92% of hospices nationwide in the quality of their person-centered, compassionate care for patients, their families, and the communities they serve. And whereas Lower Cape Fear Life Care utilizes an interdisciplinary team of professionals and volunteers to serve patients and families in hospice care, palliative care, and dementia support. And whereas Lower Cape Fear Life Care attends to patients' emotional and spiritual needs, providing support services such as respite care, caregiver support, and grief counseling. And whereas Lower Cape Fear Life Care, a local nonprofit agency, engages community members through educational events, volunteer activities, and giving opportunities. And whereas Lower Cape Fear Life Care serves more than 8,000 patients and families each year, including residents of Brunswick County dealing with serious illness. Now therefore, I, Mike Forte, Chair of the Brunswick County Board of Commissioners, and on behalf of the Brunswick County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim November 2025 as National Hospice and Palliative Care Month and encourage members of the public to increase their understanding and awareness of access to care for life-limiting illnesses at the end of life, and to observe this month with appropriate activities and programs. Dated this third day of November, 2025, signed by me. With that, I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Forte Sykes. And ladies, if you would like to come up as well. I am honored to present this product. Big fan of hospice, it's been in my family. So thank you all for what you do to the entire team. We're very proud of you, grateful to have you. And with that, this is you. Thank you again. Realized it as I was walking down. All right. We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Sorry, I should have done that. Before I walked down, I thought of it as I was walking down.
I'd just like to say thank you for what you guys at hospice do. My family's had an occasion to utilize hospice services this year, and then I would be a 5-star rating if I were, that's just based on the service. So thank you.
Anybody
And
else?
If I can say one thing
Mhm.
as well, I also want to echo that. I know that, you have certainly, cared for my family members. And also your memorial garden at your facility here in Brunswick County
Mhm.
is second to none. And we really appreciate it being here. My family has, put some stars on the eagle out front, and we will continue to support the facility in any way we can personally as a family, knowing knowing what a difference is being made by having that facility here. So thank y'all again.
Anybody else?
Go ahead, go ahead,
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
I'm dealing with it now. So thank you for all you guys are doing. And, it's a tough time that we deal with, and, y'all make it a lot easier. So thank you for all you do.
And I want to thank you. Our church is involved with the local hospice here. We take stuff over there, gather it and take it over there for your, so y'all have supplies. But I sure do miss Mr. Lewis, who was an asset for the hospice center. So, but anyway, thank you for being here today, and we appreciate all you do.
Okay. Moving on, our finance officer, Aaron Smith, is going to present us with the auditor's report. Oh, baby.
Yes, I would like to introduce Mr. Alan Thompson from Thompson Price Scott Adams. We engaged with them to do our audit as required by the LGC for fiscal year 25, ending on June 30th. And just give the stage to him to make a presentation about their audit opinion and the results of our audit for fiscal year 25.
Well, good afternoon. Thanks for allowing our firm to do the audit. I think you received a electronic version of the presentation summary, and I'm going to jump from that on page 1. Under our responsibility, it's communicated in our engagement letter. It's our responsibility to issue an opinion on the financial statements as a whole. We issued unmodified report, which is a quote unquote good report or clean report. And in our planning, we're by professional standards, we're supposed to make sure everything is the reasonable and not absolute, and to communicate any significant matters that we may find. Under these significant risks identified on the bottom, these two are in every audit we do, so it's not like you're different or et cetera. And so we did check those clearly. The management, oh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. So I'm on, Lord have mercy. I'm on the bottom of that page. So in those two significant risks, management override of controls and improper recognition, revenue recognition, we ensure that we test those specific items to make sure we're in good shape there. We didn't have any findings as that related to that. Under qualitative aspects, under significant accounting policies, some of our work might be considered boring, but so on page 17 of your audit report, there's a significant restatement of your net position, and it had to do with accounting policies. And it's also under accounting estimates, and it has to do with a new standard that was issued, and it's basically taking sick leave and accruing it as a liability. It's a fairly complicated computation that Aaron and his team walked through to make sure that that's done appropriately. We come behind and verify, and I say significant. Between your governmental activities and business type activities, it reduced net position by about $3.5 million, but there's nothing we can do about it other than comply with the standard. But I do want to make sure that you're aware of that. So when you look at the numbers and you see your net position change in those fund types, that you're aware it didn't have anything to do with what anybody did. It was just a change in the way the powers that be wanted to present things. And they believed that by accruing sick leave pay, we more fairly present the financial statements. Okay, and then the financial disclosures, that's, we go through and try to make sure everything is in the notes that should be. There were no uncorrected misstatements. There were no disagreements with management. Management did provide us with a representation letter dated October 31st. We're unaware that management consulted the outside accountants, auditors. There were really no significant findings or issues. We did have a couple findings under the in compliance piece, but they were all technical findings, et cetera, or documentation issue, no question cost. Which brings me to an issue that you all need to be aware of. It's out of my control, it's out of Aaron's control. But right now we can't present or submit the audit to the local government commission for approval. And the reason for that has to do with an OMB supplement federal government shut down. And they issued a draft, I think, in August, and were supposed to issue a final version of that at some point. Without that final version, the federal government and thus the state government has said, don't submit any audits. And so whenever that is finalized, we'll go through and make sure that there are no changes to their draft. If there was anything significant, we may have to come back and say, we need to test a small item in compliance in order for everything to be complete. We're not expecting that, but we still can't do anything until it's issued. So apologize for that, but as soon as it's issued, we'll get in contact with Aaron and we'll move forward. I'm gonna flip over to page 5 and take a look at some of your numbers. The first number there you see is total fund balance in your general fund, 148,281,000. Let me back up and say this as well. In this first column is the current year. The 4 columns beside that are the 4 preceding audit reports. The reason we present it like that is so that we get you a number and have some context to it, whether things are going up and down, et cetera, looking at any trend information. Next number you see there, unavailable fund balance at 17.4 million, other restricted at 19.1, total general fund expenditures at 319 million, and then fund balance available as a percentage at 40.94%. And then unassigned fund balance at 111,700,000, and unassigned fund balance as a percentage at 34.95%. Realize the more the county continues to grow, getting that percentage at some point will stabilize, but because of the way that's computed, the higher the expenditures, that means the more challenging keeping that number up, if you will. Revenues over and under expenses before transfers and contributions. The general fund is 35.5 million. Water fund at 18.1 and the wastewater fund at 34.4. Depreciation and amortization expense in the water fund is 8.8 and the wastewater is 7.3 million. And then you see the total fixed assets there and utility funds at almost $1 billion, accumulated depreciation, 247 million, and cash at 217 million. Cash in your general fund is 143 million, other governmentals 168, water fund 123, and wastewater 94 million. You see your fund balance there again, 148 million, general fund, other governmentals 150, and water fund is 279 million, and the wastewater at 347 million. And you can see the dramatic growth in those last two over the 5-year period. You see your property tax rates there in the next column along with your collection percentage, which is very good. And the total valuation there at 53.3 billion and the total levy amount at 182.5 million. Page 6. Try not to read every number on this page. You see your total debt there in the governmental is 133 million, business type at 317 million, total debt at $450 million. A breakdown of your general fund revenues, total revenues at 316 million. If you went back to 21, that's 250 million. Total expenditures at 280 million. And then you go to page 7, which would have your analysis of fund balance total there in blue, unavailable fund balance in red. And on the bottom of that page, you see percentage of general fund expenditures there in blue for Brunswick County and the group weighted average there in red. And that's one of the things I was mentioning as your growth continues, it puts a lot of pressure on that percentage. That is an important percentage because the debt group looks at that when they're issuing debt, or the debt committee at the state level. On page 8, you see cash balances there on the top in a pie chart along with fund balances right underneath that. And the bottom of that, you see total cash balances at 530 million, total fund balances at 926 million. On page 9, you see the collection percentages compared to the group weighted average. Brunswick County compares very, very favorably with that. And then on the bottom of that page, you see your debt analysis there with the business activities and the governmental business in red and governmental in blue. Page 10 shows the revenue in a pie chart with ad valorem taxes by far your largest revenue source at 57.87%. Sales tax being next at 15.6. And finally, on page 11, you see a breakdown of your general fund expenditures by percentage, and I'm not going to read all those. The main thing you want to take away from my presentation is you got unmodified report, no findings, everything's good shape. This group does a great job, and we do, I think, 27 or 28 of the counties in the state. By far, one of the best we have, so we're very grateful that you allow us to do the audit. I live here and I like that fact. So, I'm happy to answer any questions, not just now, but anytime. And I appreciate a call or two I get. It helps me look at the right things. I appreciate you answering our related party and other letters we send out. Very helpful to us.
We thank you. Any
Yes, sir.
questions for Mr. Thompson?
I
I
don't
think you answered every question I had and a few I didn't have.
Thank you very-
Appreciate all you
We
do.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, and we thank you, Aaron. Thanks for making his life easier. Madam Clerk, if I can, and no rush, it could be whenever, can I get hard copy print of pages 5 through 10 of that presentation? Appreciate it.
Just to let you know, I got word, this is, not official, but probably no relief on the shutdown this week.
Hmm,
I got this from,
yeah, well,
somebody in Washington.
Yeah.
tells me.
should
For what it's
probab-
worth.
Should probably end by week's end. I was told the same. All right. Madam Clerk, we have a presentation from the Wilmington area MPO regarding the 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Who's doing that for us today? Carolyn, good to see you.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman Forte and Commissioners, for the opportunity to present to you today. My name is Carolyn Caggia. I'm a transportation planner at the Wilmington Urban Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, or WMPO. Today, I will be going over the WMPO's newly adopted Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or MTP. It's titled Cape Fear Navigating Change 2050, and it serves as our region's long-range vision for transportation over the next 25 years. Nice. So I have a little cheat sheet here. I'm going to try and keep it to 15 minutes for you. I have about 25 slides to briefly walk through what the WMPO is, the organization's federal requirements, and how the plan fulfills those responsibilities. The presentation will cover how the plan was developed, what it includes, and most importantly, how it directly serves and supports each of our member jurisdictions, including Brunswick County. And then at the end, we will have some time for Q&A. So the Wilmington Urban Area MPO was formed in 1973. It now serves a population of over 300,000 residents over 494 square miles. Our 13-member governing board includes 12 elected officials from each of our 10 member jurisdictions. You can see on the map there. Our board includes 2 representatives from the city of Wilmington and the New Hanover County Commissioner that serves on the Cape Fear Public Transportation Authority Board. And our 13th member would be 1 appointed member from the North Carolina Board of Transportation. The board sets the organization's policy and direction to ensure that the transportation planning decisions in our region are coordinated and comprehensive and meet federal and state requirements. So for some WMPO responsibilities, the WMPO is federally required to plan and prioritize how federal transportation dollars are spent within our region. This is accomplished through the 3 C's planning process that stands for continuing, cooperative, and comprehensive. Federally specified WMPO responsibilities include maintaining the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, that's what we're going over today, and to help prioritize projects for the MPO and state transportation improvement programs. So a little bit about MTPs. Federal law requires every MPO to maintain a Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or an MTP, with an at least 20-year planning horizon that's updated on a 4 or 5-year basis. So the WMPO's plan, Cape Fear Navigating Change 2050, looks ahead 25 years to 2050, and it was adopted by the WMPO board this past October 29th, within 5 years of the previously adopted MTP. This plan identifies our region's transportation project needs, and it provides a blueprint for how we'll meet them through 2050 for all modes of travel. The MTP is federally required to be multimodal, fiscally constrained, and consistent with local land use plans. So this means that it includes all 6 modes of transportation that you see here: roadway, bicycle and pedestrian, public transportation, ferry and water, rail, and aviation, while ensuring that funding projections match realistic financial forecasts. The plan's development spanned more than 3 years and involved extensive public input, technical analysis, and collaboration with member jurisdictions. To support this effort, the WMPO established 2 committees. You see their abbreviations up here. So the MTPC is the Metropolitan Transportation Plan Technical Steering Committee. We love acronyms here. And then the CAC is the Citizens Advisory Committee. The MTPC is made up of subject matter experts in transportation, urban planning, public health, emergency management, and other fields. And the MTPC provided guidance on plan development, including setting criteria for prioritizing our capital project needs and reviewing policy recommendations. Whereas the CAC, the Citizens Advisory Committee, was composed of volunteer citizen representatives appointed by WMPO board members. They offered insights from various community groups, professional associations, and the private sector. The CAC also helped shape outreach strategies and advised on improving public engagement. Here's another graphic of the plan development process. So this timeline illustrates the 3-year process, starting with analysis and public input, starting in 2023, followed by project prioritization and funding strategies in 2024. In 2025, a draft plan was developed and publicly reviewed before being finalized and adopted by the WMPO board. So a little bit about public outreach phase 1. Y'all may recall that we had a survey and a comment map open throughout fall of 2023. There was a social media sort of challenge where if you shared the survey online, you get entered to win prizes. So we had some transportation related prizes to incentivize people to share the survey. So the plan's development began with extensive public outreach to collect input, like I said, through interactive survey and map tool. Outreach efforts included holding 6 public meetings, attending 16 community events, conducting 9 stakeholder interviews with community groups, and providing 13 presentations. These efforts led to robust engagement, generating 96 in-person comments, more than 2,300 survey responses, 3,200 map comments, and nearly 6,000 map pins. And then what did we hear? So we asked people on the survey about their current travel behaviors and preferences, as well as looking forward to the future, what they would prefer. From the collected input, we learned that most residents currently drive alone, maybe not surprising. Top transportation priorities today are safety, cost, convenience, and travel time. In the future, respondents indicated a desire for more options to walk, bike, and use public transportation. And when it comes to future projects, safety, congestion relief, and better transit and bicycle and pedestrian facilities were the top focuses. So all of this putting together, the 2050 MTP vision statement was created through a combination of public input, the WMPO's mission and vision statements, and the steering committee's review and input. Together, these guided us in defining the region's long-term direction for transportation, one that supports mobility, resilience, and community well-being. So here is the vision statement for the 2050 MTP. Our region will thrive and prosper through a fair and resilient transportation network that supports regional economic vitality while improving quality of life for residents and enhancing quality of place for neighborhoods. Considering the 2050 MTP vision statement with the WMPO strategic plan recommendations and the federal planning factors, a set of goals to guide the plan's implementation were developed to translate the vision into clear priorities, which I will show you. These were the 5 guiding goals established from that process. They were safe, fair, connected, resilient, and proactive. Together, these goals provide a balanced framework to support safety, mobility, and a long-term sustainability of the regional transportation network. So we love flowcharts here as well. To establish how the goals will be met, the MTPC, the steering committee, developed specific modal objectives for each transportation mode. These objectives then inform both the project ranking criteria and the development of modal policies, ensuring a clear connection between the plan's vision and how projects are prioritized and implemented. Priority project lists derive from identified needs and recommendations in other local, regional, and state transportation planning efforts. They were developed and collaboratively with our member jurisdictions and planning partners across all modes of transportation. Each project included was evaluated using objective criteria, defining the 5 guiding goals, you may recall, of safe, fair, connected, resilient, and proactive. You may notice that aviation is not on this list. Aviation projects were excluded from this process due to rapidly changing project needs of the ILM airport, and they also have the ability to implement projects using their own capital funding and discretionary grants. A critical component of the plan is the financial forecast, which projects the region's available federal, state, and local funds through the year 2050. The forecast provides a realistic picture that's based on today's traditional funding sources and their current revenues of the funding resources that the region can realistically expect to receive over the next 25 years. To achieve the federal requirement for fiscal constraint, that's one of the requirements for MTPs, the financial forecast was considered against the ranked priority roadway project list. High-ranking projects with estimated costs falling within the forecasted revenue amount were considered fiscally constrained and are the roadway project recommendations for the MTP. Of course, we all know that money doesn't grow on trees. Recognizing there is a significant shortfall between anticipated transportation funding and the cost of the region's identified transportation needs, the WMPO board reviewed several potential alternative funding sources that could supplement traditional transportation funding so that we can deliver more of the region's transportation project priorities. These alternatives included options such as a 1/4 cent local sales tax, that's 1/4 of 1 cent, vehicle registration fees, transportation bonds, among others. The analysis demonstrates how additional funding for transportation could help the WMPO's member jurisdictions to advance key projects sooner, and it provides a starting point for communities to consider alternatives locally. We went back out for public outreach phase 2 earlier this year. So this past summer, the WMPO invited the public and partner agencies to review and comment on the draft MTP. Copies were available online, at local libraries, member jurisdiction planning offices, and during 2 open houses and 5 pop-up events. So we were busy. Comments were submitted in person, by mail or email, and through a digital survey. 57 comments were received, reviewed, and addressed by WMPO staff. None of the comments received resulted in changes to the fiscally constrained and priority project recommendations. Getting into the document itself, the final plan with its 6 chapters provided on this slide is comprehensive, showing our region's existing conditions, how projects are prioritized, reviewed, and analyzed, and a detailed roadmap of projects and policies to guide us to 2050. The plan is designed to be both a policy guide and a working document for both staff and elected officials. And then, of course, there's also an appendix document that includes data and tools that were used to develop the plan. You can see appendices for every mode and every topic under the sun. And then final plan outcomes. The final plan reflects the collective priorities of our region, a shared vision grounded in public input, data, and fiscal responsibility. It positions us well for future funding opportunities and supports our continued growth in a coordinated and strategic manner. For Brunswick County specifically here, this slide shows some of the priority roadway and bicycle and pedestrian projects that were submitted by Brunswick County and included recommendations in the plan. These projects reflect not only your community's needs, but the regional importance of these projects for achieving our 2050 vision and goals. They also reflect the collaborative work between Brunswick County and the WMPO to advance both local and regional mobility goals. And then hammering it home here. So the 2050 MTP will be integrated into all of the WMPO's planning efforts, technical services, and programs. This includes informing project submittals for evaluation in the strategic prioritization process to develop the state and MPO Transportation Improvement Program. It will also be utilized during project scoping and development process for funded projects to define project type and other cross-section details, such as bicycle and pedestrian components. The 2050 MTP was built with strong input from the WMPO's member jurisdictions. The WMPO encourages member jurisdictions to integrate the 2050 MTP into local planning and project implementation efforts, as well as to utilize it to participate in and promote the WMPO's various programs and initiatives, including our Go Coast program. Looking ahead, and as federally required, the WMPO will begin work on the 2055 MTP in 2028. Regular updates ensure our regional transportation vision and priorities remain current as the region grows and needs change. The WMPO looks forward to continuous coordination and partnership with its members as the region, quote, navigates these changes. In closing, we want to sincerely thank our members and planning partners for the time, collaboration, and commitment to shaping the future of our region's transportation network. This plan reflects not just the WMPO's work, but also the input and the leadership of our member communities. And then lastly, where can the plan be found? The final MTP is available to the public on the WMPO's website included here, wmpo.org/MTP. Hard copies of the plan can be viewed at the WMPO's office. We're located at 525 North 4th Street in downtown Wilmington. Hard copies will also be distributed to all member jurisdictions and to local area libraries. And that brings us to the close. Thank you all for your time and allowing me to present. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to address
Have any
those.
question?
No questions, just thank you for what you do. I obviously serve on your board and Commissioner
Yes, sir.
Forte is an alternate, and we appreciate what you do. You don't cover a huge percentage of Brunswick County geographically, but I think that will probably increase with the next census. And certainly the 133 widening, while it was painful when it was in progress, has been a godsend now that it's complete. So that's just an example of one major project that I'm happy to see has been completed.
Needs to be repaved.
The part in
Hey.
Leland is fairly recently paved.
All it takes is money.
That's
Exactly,
it.
exactly.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay,
Yes,
Any
thank
yeah,
you all.
other
thank